to win at Denver. The best of 7 first-round series is now tied at a game apiece. The next 2 games are at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. Game 3 is Thursday night. A very important game for the Lakers tonight in their first-round series against Minnesota. The Lakers are down 0-1. Keep your eyes on the production of Rui Hachimura, Dorian Finney-Smith, Jared Vanderbilt, and Gabe Vincent. The 4 of them combined to make only 6 of 20 shots in Game 1 and had no free throw attempts. LeBron, Luka Doncic, and Austin Reeves are going to need a lot more help tonight to avoid going down 0-2. Tip-off time tonight is 7 on TNT. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, this is Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, and for over 20 years, Parkside Economic Development Corporation has served Leimert Park and surrounding communities, empowering tomorrow's leaders and changing lives. Parkside EDC has awarded over $400,000 in college scholarships while sharing economic principles of the Big Five of money with students and their families. Parkside EDC partners with organizations like the Brotherhood Crusade to assure our youth have the financial acumen to succeed. Parkside EDC provides families and businesses with financial insights, offering free online, on-site, and on-air B-Warp presentations. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Programs helps our community acquire, sustain, and pass down legacy wealth. High school seniors can apply for this year's scholarship awards at parksideedc.org. Scholarships will be awarded at Parkside EDC's Gospel/Jazz Brunch on Sunday, April the 27th. For details, tickets, or donations, please visit parksideedc.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
It's all love. It's all love. All love. No dairy, no sweets, only ripe vegetables, fresh fruit and whole wheat. I'm from the old school, my household smell like soul food, bruh. Curry falafel, barbecue tofu, no fish though, no candy bars, no cigarettes, only ganja, fresh squeezed juice from oranges. Exercising daily to stay healthy, and I rarely drink water out the tap cause it's filthy.
Lentil soup is mental fruit and ginger root is good for the youth. Fresh vegetable with them ital stew. Sweet yam fries with the green callaloo. Careful how you season and prepare your foods, cause you don't wanna lose vitamins and minerals, and that's the jewel. Life brings life, it's valuable, so I eat what come from the ground, it's natural. Let your food be your medicine.
KBLA Talk 1580, yeah, you know, I'm on that. Be healthy all the time, but we're going the extra mile with it today. We want you to take care of yourself, take care of the planet on Earth Day, but also take care of yourself. I'm happy to welcome back into the studio. I'll call him an activist, a health activist. His son passed from colon cancer at the young age of 37 after being diagnosed at 32. And he says early detection is the key. He's actually been on a crusade ever since to make sure other people get tested in time and also for us to change our habits, right? Michael Frierson, welcome back.
Well, thank you very much, and just a pleasure being here. And you look absolutely amazing.
Thank you. I do my best. I try to wake up and suit up for our YouTube, but I appreciate that. And since I've last seen you, you've really sort of honed in on a plan to expand what's available as far as testing. We'll get a little bit into that, but that's really kind of your main focus right now, right?
Yeah, my wife and I just recently got our nonprofit up and going, and it's called Mike Check Your Colon, and it's YUR, not YOUR. So we're excited about that. We're in the process of putting together a bunch of podcast and getting the information out to a number of young people out here. I mean, we've been very fortunate. We probably have saved about 15, 20 lives just by getting the information out about this.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Also joining us in the studio, again, they're kind of, it's interesting, you guys kind of became friends through this tragedy. He's a renowned colorectal surgeon here in Los Angeles. He serves West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, Long Beach, and other areas. And he specializes in issues ranging from colon cancers to Crohn's disease, hemorrhoids, colitis, and inflammatory bowel syndromes, minimally invasive surgery. He's a board-certified surgeon. Dr. Zuri Morel, welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me, and thank you once again for giving us the opportunity on this platform to educate and to hopefully empower people to know that despite the terrible nature of this disease, it can be prevented, and also you have the power to do that. And so we're very excited to be here.
No, I told you last time you came, you were talking so much about the foods we eat and what a difference it makes. I've been eating twice as many berries ever since the last time you came. Like, berries are like the superfood.
Excellent.
But for you as a colorectal surgeon and doctor, you really see physiologically the damage that we do to ourselves with the things we put into our systems.
And really, so, there's been a 12-fold increase in young people under the age of 50 getting colorectal cancer. And we think a lot of it is related to what we are putting in our bodies, what sometimes, I don't want to say forced to put in our bodies, but foods that are readily available here that are cheap, that aren't healthy. And there's been a change in something. And the reason food is so important is there's something called the microbiome. Okay. And I know that's a big word for a lot of people, but it's basically the bacteria that lines our gut. Okay. Our intestines are very powerful in terms of preventing infection. Just like our skin is a barrier, so is our actual lining of our colon. The foods that we put in our GI tract actually affect the health of our entire body. Some foods that we put in there, like berries, fiber, so to speak, fiber gets fermented in the gut, and guess what? It feeds our good bacteria, which helps to protect us. But then you have other foods, such as bacon, such as high nitrate foods, such as high fructose corn syrup, such as highly processed foods that actually destroy the good bacteria and feed the bad bacteria, thus making our bodies more cancer rich, so to speak.
The Pop-Tarts, the pastries, the fast food.
And it's actually the chemicals in there and the way we actually break it down. So a perfect example is red meat. And I hate to say it, everybody, but pork is not the other white meat. Pork is also red meat.
Really?
Yes.
I don't mess with it.
Yeah.
I saw a documentary when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
But so let's, I know you've been on the show before, and it's probably not the most fun to revisit how you got here. It's probably not easy for you, but we have a lot of new folks that have come on board since last time you were here. Praise God, KBLA is growing bigger and bigger, which is a blessing.
Yep.
Because we are a little independent, black-owned thing.
Yes, you are.
And folks are catching on to it.
That's great.
Very needed.
So share, in whatever version you want to deal with today, what happened with your family, with your son, that got you guys to be forever connected.
Well, and I want to clarify something. Sometimes I make a mistake and say he died at 37, but it was 38. So I have to remind myself about it. One of his friends called me up one day. I said, he died at 37. He said, no, Mr. Ryerson. He said, he died at 38. I know me and Michael the same age. So
that's so sweet, though, that his friend was didn't want you to lose that other year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you, though, it's very interesting because his friends have been a motivating factor for me to keep talking about this, because the number of those guys that really went out to get colonoscopies, and I really have to commend, first of all, before I move forward, Dr. Morrell. In 2021, he was the only person that really was talking about getting screening colonoscopies for preventative purposes. Yeah. And I'm talking about the whole healthcare industry
wow.
Nobody would stand up for that. They were saying, it's an old person's disease. Young people don't need to do this. And, Dr. Morrell really took a stand on it, which really helped me create my platform. Now, we're in 2025. Yeah. Everybody's talking about, early colonoscopies for, young people under the age of 40. So the thing
you might have had something to do with that too.
Well,
a lot to do with it.
Well, you might have a little.
Well, you want to know? I'm going to tell you. A young lady came up to me last year, and she kind of laughed at me, and she said, you don't understand the impact that you've had on this entire industry in talking about that when you were talking about it, because nobody was talking about it. Now everybody's talking about it, and that's the good thing about this. So I really don't talk very much about Michael anymore when I speak on this, because it's really not about him anymore. I mean, he his purpose in life was served, and he's made it possible for a number of young people not to have to go through this, and that's the important part about this, and that's why I'm in this fight. That's why I'm continuing this. I mean, because if we can get to the point to where we can get this age reduced, and that's a big part of this, I think we can eradicate colorectal cancer in 10, 15 years.
When you say Michael, of course you're talking about your son,
my son,
Michael
yes.
Jr.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess, obviously I respect that. I feel like sometimes I have a sister that passed away. She was murdered, actually.
Yeah.
And I like to say her name because I feel like I like to keep her essence in the world in a way. Shani Baraka is her name. But we all process things however we process them.
Well, and it's not, I'm going to tell you, he's continuously in this discussion. I mean, this whole Mike check your colon thing, and we've got this nice little emblem of a sloth in a hoodie. I mean, his nickname was a sloth, right? And this whole Mike check your colon thing is about him. I mean, it is about his story, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, the fight. The fight is the important part on this, because I often ask people, I say, and I'd like to ask you this question: if you knew you only had 5 years to live, how would you live your life? The 5 years.
Pretty much how I'm living it right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Best life.
Right? I love my job.
Okay. Yeah.
I love my job. I love my family, but maybe I might tell a few more people to kick rocks. Maybe.
Okay. Well, I want to share a story with you because this is an interesting story. A young man called me up a few weeks ago, and having some issues, right? Some colon issues. Come to find out more than likely he has colon cancer, right? And so hopefully it's caught in the early stages, okay, and he won't have any major issues. But I sat back and I had a discussion with my wife about the fact when we found out that Michael wasn't gonna make this, wasn't gonna win this fight, right? And it was kind of interesting because in the beginning everything was so positive about this, right? I mean, we really thought he was gonna beat this thing. I mean, he looked great. I mean, after 3
times.
After Dr. Morrell,
because he was declared cancer free, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, he looked absolutely great. Mm-hmm. So and Dr. Morrell actually when he looked like he wasn't going to make it, we were trying to get all of these special treatments for him, and the organization that had this device wouldn't give it. So Dr. Morrell came to me and said, "Hey, Mike, I spoke with these people, and they said, hey, he's lucky to be alive this long. 5 to 7 years is the average lifespan for a person who's diagnosed with stage 3 colorectal cancer." And I thought about that, and I said, man, if we'd have known that, like in the beginning, what would we have done differently for him? I mean, we could have changed everything about that. I mean, we could have he could have flown wherever he wanted to go. We could have took lavish vacations. but we always thought he was going to make it. So, this, you know, and it's crazy because I ask that question to people now, you know, to really make them understand the significance of understanding being healthy, right? And checking these things. Because even if it's a situation where you find out that you have a cancer like this, you know, what do you want to do with the remaining part of your life if you don't think you can win the fight?
Yeah.
And people need to know those things.
But also when you're planning to live a long time, right? I mean, you want to make that a reality.
Exactly.
And so every day, you know, we always say that cancer is as horrible as it is like the great reveal, because we always say live every day like it's your last. You know, what would you do if you only had 5 years left? And it's rare that most people can say that they'd be doing the same thing. You know, they'll add to it. But I think it does allow people the clarity to actually see what's really important.
Sadly, I'd probably eat worse because, like, well, I'm going to die anyway. Might as well live on creme brulee, you know.
And listen, every once in a while, all that is okay. Every once in a while, I'm not an absolutist.
Well, we have some questions in the YouTube chat. You can, if you want to see us, see Michael Frierson, Dr. Morell, and me. We are at youtube.com, KBLA 1580. We've got some questions for you in the chat. I've got a few questions, and we will continue this conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power. If you missed our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall, the Altadena Eden Fire, 100 Days and Counting, you missed an evening of reverence, reflection, and reality.
You gotta live in the reality because this is it. Every day, you wake up, is this my life? Don't stay in denial because yes it is. Don't stay in bargaining where you're praying for a miracle and if it wouldn't have happened, then this is what I would have done. It did.
Our panel participants kept it real. Really real.
I think, number one, it's amazing to me how we ignore systemic racism in our community, and as a people, we've apologized for so much, but when will we stop apologizing for what we have paid for? Because the truth of the matter is we paid for this.
You can always count on KBLA Talk 1580 to give it to you straight, no chaser. When you love folk, you tell them the truth. Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40 and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-729-7070. That's 1-800-729-7070. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-729-7070. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. The Live Your Life organization mentors young women, helping them break negative mindsets and see beyond their surroundings. Through career exposure and hands-on training, they're encouraged to think big, stay focused, and make positive choices. Founded by Nikisha Mama Boo Smith, who transformed her life to become a community leader. Live Your Life is changing lives, but they need your help. They're raising funds to keep their new building open and expand their programs. Your donations will support food, clothes, hygiene products, and holiday giveaways. Visit liveyourlife32.com. That's LIVEYOLIFE32.com to help today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. Boy, we got some good conversations going on here behind the scenes. BTS, yes. Michael Frierson is here, Dr. Zuri Morell, and we're Molly Bell in the chat asking colorectal cancer. Of course, we're talking about your son, who pass from this at the young age of 38. But women get this also, right?
Yeah, so it's about equal. It's the lifetime risk of colorectal cancer in a woman is about 4.3%, when a man is about 4.5. So it's pretty much equal. And a lot of times people think it's a disease of one group versus another, but no, it is equal.
Is it because women that we go to the doctor more? Is
Exactly.
that part of the discrepancy?
That is women are used to invasive exams. I have 2 daughters, and I know a little bit about what you guys go through peripherally.
Right.
But you guys are used to these invasive exams, which is why anytime we go to a men's event to talk about get screening, there's mostly women there so that they can have their spouses, get screening. I mean, I can't tell you how many male patients I've had when we talk about colonoscopies like we talked about last time. And they're like, I don't want you sticking anything in my butt. That's what it always comes. I mean, I'm just going to keep it real, right? Where women are used to these kind of exams. And what I've realized is I can convince anybody to get their colonoscopy by 2 things. Number one is I tell these men, well, do you love your wife? And, about 50%, they always say they love them. But then they'll say, well, she doesn't need me. She'll be fine. If something happens to me, I'll be okay.
What?
But then I said, do you love your kids? And they always say, what do my kids have to do with it? I said, well, when we do a colonoscopy, right, we're looking for polyps. You remove a polyp during the colonoscopy, you prevent colon cancer. And guess what? If you have polyps, then your kid will be able to get a colonoscopy sooner. Insurance will pay for it, and you just saved your kid's life. And so when it comes to the wife and the kids, put that together, people tend to finally agree to get their colon checked.
Yeah,
as Mike would say.
I would think that. I mean, looking at you, you're married, you're a brother, you're straight black man.
Sure.
Like, I would think they would be not as worried about getting something in their butt.
Yeah, I think it's really just the overall fear and like pain and those things. But I always tell people it's a great nap.
Oh, it's a good thing men don't have to give birth because the human race would perish.
Oh yeah,
children would not. It would be
One
the
and done.
end. I saw that one time. I said I didn't understand how my wife had a second child.
Yeah.
I would have never done that twice.
It's called amnesia.
or insanity.
So what you're really pushing for with Mike Check Your Colon is for us to get checked earlier.
Yes.
How early?
Well, I'm going to look. My push is that. Well, first of all, let me hit you with this fact. Do you know how many people there are in the United States of America between the ages of 18 and 45?
I don't. It's a lot, though.
Okay. Well, in 2022, there were 140 million people between the ages of 18 and 45.
Right.
My wife just did a fact check recently, and in 2025, 136 million. Okay, 136 million people. The most productive people in our society. Okay, you have to really think about this. Mm-hmm. They are the primary workforce, 90% of the military, primary people investing in the stock market,
police
primary people buying things. I mean, they literally make this country run. Yeah. So if they stop working, this country would collapse.
I don't know about primary people buying things. Is that true?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we'll go with that. So you're saying, okay, this 18 to 40 population.
And one thing is that you have a better chance of getting colorectal cancer if you were born in the 1990s than if you were born in the 1950s.
Really?
Yes, and that's part of that.
Now let's think about that, okay? So you have this primary group of people that can't manage their health care. They don't have a choice to manage their health care. That is insane. I mean, that goes beyond logic.
Meaning because they can't get tested, they cannot.
Because of where this age
they
is.
cannot take steps. Right now the age is what, 50?
45.
45, okay. So
and it's important to remember when we say 45, that means no family history and no symptoms. So it's just screening. So that's the difference between screening and diagnostic. It's important to get that out there because if you're having any changes in bowel habits, any rectal bleeding, any abdominal pain that's persistent, then you need your screening and you need to see a doctor sooner than 45.
And insist that you have some symptoms,
Yes.
so therefore you qualify to be screened earlier.
Well, but I'm going to tell you something. Once again, let's just say, okay, hypothetically, we made it possible for people between the ages of 21 to 45 to allow them to get screening colonoscopies. Okay? If we made that possible. Now, primary cause, and I think Dr. Morrell has pointed this out on a number of occasions, the primary cause of people contracting colorectal cancer are polyps that go undetected and become cancerous. The primary cause. That's like what, maybe 90% of the people that
it comes from polyps.
Okay. So now, if we started allowing younger people to get screening colonoscopies, we would now be treating this cancer on the front end because it's 95% preventable.
In other words, you take out the polyps
before it becomes cancer. And
right.
Especially a lot of people are just starting to know their cancer history, but a lot of people don't know their parents' polyp history.
Who would know that?
Right. And that's how my life was actually saved. My father, I insisted on him getting colonoscopies years ago. He had polyps. So I try to practice what I preach. And because I knew he had polyps, I got my colonoscopy at 42, not age 45. I thought I was doing everything right, and I was doing it to the best of my ability. I had to lose a few pounds, which this got me to do it. But I had a huge 1.5 centimeter polyp in the right side of my colon that was precancerous. And if I would have waited to 45, I would have had a cancer. But because I happen to know my dad's polyp history, because this is what I do, luckily I went and got my colonoscopy. My daughters are going to get theirs at 35.
Man, we need to know. We need to be all in our parents' business.
You do.
So that we can
at the dinner table. I say the best time to talk about this. Yep.
Dad.
The best time to talk about all of colorectal health is at the dinner table, because that's when we're putting things in our mouth that we can prevent it, and that's when we can talk about it.
It doesn't seem like the most appetizing conversation, but okay. Paul Lee wants to know: can you actually put us to sleep?
Oh, we do. Yeah. That's the only way.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah.
Yes.
Says, rather be out sleep during the process. Yeah. And Jacqueline Anderson says, I just had mine done on 4/14/25. Go, Jacqueline.
Awesome. Hey, way to go.
Excellent.
Yeah. So where you were going with this is you think 21 to 45, that whole range should have access to the fact is most of them aren't going to do it anyway. Sadly.
Let me tell you the madness. Let me tell you the kind of madness that you hear when you make that statement when you're in the healthcare industry and you're talking to physicians and stuff like that. The first thing they tell you is, well, we can't do that. It would overtax the system. And I said, okay. I said, let's think about this logically now. I said, we couldn't get people to get COVID shots when people were dying in the street. We couldn't get 100% participation.
Not even
people
close.
Getting COVID shots. Why in the world would you think you would be able to get 100% participation in people going out and getting screening colonoscopies? It's not going to happen.
A patient with metastatic colon cancer, I mean, if you look at cost, is no less than $450,000 that you spend in medicine.
So the $450,000 that you would have spent to treat that person is a lot more than the cost of the colonoscopy. The thing about that is, no offense, Doc, but sometimes I think the medical industry would rather have the big paycheck of that $450,000 cancer patient.
Okay, but wait a minute.
Hold that thought. We got news, traffic, and sports. Don't forget what you're about to say. I know he's about to get real controversial here. We have news, traffic, and sports, and we'll continue our conversation with Dr. Zuri Morrell and Michael Frierson on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Pope Francis, 88, died of a stroke on Easter Monday after complications from double pneumonia, diabetes, and hypertension. The Vatican announced the stroke led to a coma and irreversible cardiovascular collapse. Following Pope Francis's death, a conclave will be held within weeks to elect a new pope. Cardinals will meet in the Sistine Chapel, isolated from the outside world, with black smoke signaling no decision and white smoke indicating a new pope. The White House denies reports of replacing Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, calling it fake news. Hegseth faced criticism for sharing military plans on Signal. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt also dismissed the NPR story as false. And LeVar Burton, best known for reading Rainbow, Star Trek, and Roots, will receive an honorary Doctor of Humane Letters from HBCU Howard University on May 10th. Burton, an Emmy, Peabody, and Grammy winner, will speak at the commencement. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
When Clippers star Kawhi Leonard is healthy, there is no question that he's one of the premier players in the NBA. He proved it last night. Kawhi scored 11 of his season-high 39 points in the fourth quarter to spark the Clippers to a 105-102 win at Denver. The best-of-7 first-round series is now tied at a game apiece. The next two games are at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. Game 3 is Thursday night. A very important game for the Lakers tonight in their first-round series against Minnesota. The Lakers are down 0-1. Keep your eyes on the production of Rui Hachimura, Dorian Finney-Smith, Jared Vanderbilt, and Gabe Vincent. The four of them combined to make only 6 of 20 shots in Game 1 and had no free throw attempts. LeBron, Luka Doncic, and Austin Reeves are going to need a lot more help tonight to avoid going down 0-2. Tip-off time tonight is 7 on TNT. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I feel so alone.
I'm embarrassed to talk about it.
How can I help my kid if I can't help myself?
I can't remember when I wasn't stressed.
I don't like being inside.
When you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts and emotions, it's okay to get help. You are not alone. CalHope is here for you with free, safe, and confidential mental health resources for youth, young adults, families, and you. Find support now at calhope.org.
At Exquisite Family Mortuary, we know how overwhelming it can be planning a meaningful farewell for your loved one. Secure your peace of mind by calling Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. That's Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. From traditional funeral services to memorials to direct cremation, pre-needs, and more. Call Charlotte White at Exquisite Family Mortuary for Southern hospitality in Southern California. That's Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. Exquisite Family Mortuary is located nearby in Inglewood, California. Exquisite Family Mortuary, where your loved one becomes our loved one.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
I'm ready. Let me just grab my bag. Sweatpants, huh? Didn't know we were keeping it casual this month. Yeah, I feel bloated every now and then.
You have to try new Align 3-in-1 Biotic Gummies. They have prebiotics to nourish good bacteria, probiotics to help relieve occasional bloating, and postbiotics for immune support.
All that in one gummy?
Yep. So no sweatpants next time?
Not anymore.
Align 3-in-1 Biotic Gummies for gut health support. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Johns Hopkins University has found that just mild hearing loss doubles your risk of dementia. So hearing loss isn't something to ignore.
But hearing aids are so expensive and ugly.
Not anymore. Meet Audien Hearing. You can get nearly invisible hearing aids without a prescription starting at $98 a pair. And they're ready to use right out of the box. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health. And with over 1 million customers, Audien is easy to trust. Visit audienhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for Progressive Talk Radio. Be heard. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
Okay, we're talking health. I said men's health because I know, like we were discussing earlier, that men are more resistant to going to doctors and then doing things that doctors say. And this may be a stereotype, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think black men are even more resistant than going to doctors than other men. Dr. Zoe Morell is with us. Michael Frierson is with us. He's really an advocate for testing and early detection of colon cancer. Of course, you're a surgeon. you deal with and you guys met when you were the doctor of Michael's son.
Yeah. Actually saved Michael's life. He was the one that made it possible for Michael to have an extended period of time living. Because if we hadn't found Dr. Morrell, he would have been dead in 2 years after he was diagnosed, without a question.
And Michael actually made me find my humanity. No, in terms of a lot of times we keep patients at arm's distance a little bit. Just I think for our mental health, and also to be able to see what we can see from a non-personal kind of aspect.
Right, being extra professional,
After multiple surgeries on Michael, and then towards the end, Michael was the first patient who became a friend who I actually sat with throughout the whole process. Usually, as a surgeon, you operate and you're done. And which is why I went into surgery, because I felt like you can use your hands, you can fix a problem, you can cure it or fix it, but then you don't see it. You don't see the person afterwards.
Right? You do the assist and then you walk away.
You do it and you walk away. And Michael was the first time, other than my family members, where I actually sat with him from the whole experience. And when I say found my humanity, things that I thought weren't a big deal, like, I'll just give a patient an MRI. I'll just, recommend, this treatment, this chemo, actually seeing how even the most, what I thought was benign recommendations, benign orders, MRIs can actually affect a person. And actually, the claustrophobia of an MRI, the pain of a medication that I've only read about, that's like, occasional nausea and vomiting, to see somebody with unrelenting nausea and vomiting, it really made me, understand from the patient's perspective about how everything that I recommend has a consequence, and it helped me find my humanity to sit and be able to talk with patients and feel them versus kind of just tell them.
And so it's interesting that you say that, because your own family has been touched by cancer.
Right. I was saying that my mom passed from breast cancer a month before I graduated med school, and it was interesting. My mom was so strong. My parents were divorced, so I used to do 1 week with my mom, 1 week with my dad. And my mom's week, the week I was with my dad is when she arranged for her chemo. And so she never let me see her, with the vomiting, with the nausea. She would just, the rare times I would go over there during that week, she had the door closed and had me put food on the outside of the door. She never let me see it. So I didn't, until the end, where I was diagnosing her with certain things like fractures and brain mets. At the end, that's when I started seeing it, actually seeing. But before, it was just my mom, and so that's one of the reasons I didn't become a breast cancer surgeon, was because that was too personal. But most patients, with Mike, we did think we cured him. Two or three times we thought he was cured, and the issue is, he did everything right. Michael did everything right. He had a symptom. He and his dad were running, and Michael passed out. And Michael's a young, healthy guy, and they got help right away. The issue is not only getting help, but it's going to the right doctors to get help. And it's also, I'm always telling patients, you don't necessarily have to go to a doctor that's the same race as you, but you need to have a doctor that you can relate to, in terms of having a conversation that will listen to you, and you will listen to them. And Mike can share that story if he wants.
Well, look, I'm going to tell you one of the big issues that I'm having, and I was just at an event, a fundraising event for a young lady whose dad died from complications associated with colorectal cancer, and it's amazing that even the gastroenterologists, the older gastroenterologists, are still preaching this 45-50 thing. I mean, they are still preaching, after all of the information that we're having showing that more people under the age of 40 are contracting colorectal cancer. They are still preaching that this ain't possible for a young person to get this. That this is the disease of the elderly.
Okay, so before we went into news, traffic, and sports, I said, no offense, Doc, but sometimes I think the medical industry would rather, see my $1 million going through the door from me being supposedly diabetic than me doing preventive care and being a health kind of rampant health enthusiast. And you were about to say something in response to that.
Okay, so one of the big issues that and the reason why I keep pushing this 21-year-old thing, right, 21 to 45, really doesn't have anything to do with the 24 to 45-year-old age people, because you're not going to get 100% participation from those people in this.
Right, but you could save some lives.
You could save a bunch of lives, a whole bunch of lives, but you're not going to get 100% participation. Just ain't going to happen. The thing that I'm thinking about is that 10, 15-year-old child. Now think about this. If we make this happen to where we reduce this age to 21 years old, like right now, okay, first of all, you're not going to get 100% participation, so it's really not going to overtax the system like everybody thinks it is. You have just set the standard for that 10, 15-year-old kid. You turn 21 years old, you get a physical examination, you get a screening colonoscopy. Okay, now you have set the tone for what this could look like 10 years from then.
Yeah.
At that point in time, you can start a countdown on eradicating colorectal cancer. I mean, because now we're just playing a numbers game. It is just a numbers game at that point in time. If this disease is truly 95% preventable, why aren't we approaching it from that perspective?
I mean, to that point, it feels like if it would overtax the system, we need to look at the system.
Right. The system needs to be changed.
And in response to your previous comment about the system, actually, see, I look at it the opposite way. The problem is, with insurance companies, their number one goal is to return money to a taxpayer. So why you would think that they would want to prevent the spending of foreign.
Think that.
The problem is, whatever CEO is going to be the head of the, like, let's say one of the blue insurances, it's not going to be the CEO in 10 years. So it's cheaper for them not to do the screening, because that will provide more money to the shareholders versus actually.
Oh, so they're thinking of short-term profit rather than a long-term
because if you think about it,
health.
Financially, it would be if you gave everybody a stool test.
Right.
Financially, and nobody got colon cancer, financially, that would actually be better for everything.
And the crazy thing that I'm just realized, just dawning on me in this conversation today, is that unlike other cancers, this one is much more preventable. Like because of what you were saying about polyps, like we don't know for certain how to prevent breast cancer, stomach cancer, throat cancer, but this one we do. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and we put people through so many, as my mom, do so many tests, right? How many times do you get blood work, MRI, CT scan, all these things, and we're looking for cancer. With a colonoscopy, it's the only test a man or woman can have where it's your diagnostic and prevention. All colon cancer starts as these little growths called polyps. Polyps have no signs, no symptoms unless they get really, really big. And you actually are able to see them when you do the colonoscopy, and you remove them at the same time. And so to me, another thing that's powerful is that there is actual research showing now about obesity being a huge contributor to colorectal cancer. One of the takeaways I wanted to tell everybody listening, vitamin D. Vitamin D deficiency is one of the largest causes of colorectal cancer. You can go right now to Costco and buy some vitamin D gummies, and that can help us all out.
I mean, and from what I've read, I read a lot about health because I'm interested in it, is that Black people tend to have a lower vitamin D.
Yeah, because we have to be outside longer. So the thing with vitamin D is it's made when the sun hits our skin, okay? And melanin is fantastic for protection, but as brown skin, dark skin people, we have to be out in the sun longer. Well, a lot of us, we're working and we're inside. And so that's the issue. That's why vitamin D is so important. And you can take that, exogenously. You get it from gummies. You get it from, I can't do milk, but most of us can't do milk.
What does exogenously mean? I think that's
the
first time that a guest has used a word I don't know.
You can get it from pills. You can get it from gummies. You can just go get it and put it. You can get it from other sources.
I'm not going to let that pass. Relating to or developing from external factors. Okay, you got that. We got it.
You go.
Word of the day, exogenously.
Exogenous.
We're talking with Dr. Zuri Morella and Michael Frierson, and we're talking about your health. When we come forward, I want to talk about what we should be doing in terms of prevention and how we can help you on your mission for the 21 to 45s. I know folks want to be part of the solution. Here's an opportunity. KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Nearly 7 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's disease, also known as AD, a type of dementia that affects memory, thinking, and behavior, making everyday tasks challenging. But did you know that Black adults aged 65 and older are twice as likely as white adults to develop AD? There are things you can do to help reduce your risk for developing AD. Managing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure is crucial. Staying physically active, maintaining social connections, eating a healthy diet, and keeping your mind engaged with activities like reading or puzzles can all contribute to brain health. It's also important to recognize some common signs and symptoms of early AD, such as forgetfulness that causes problems with everyday life, asking the same question a few times in a row, and difficulty concentrating on basic tasks. If you see these signs in yourself or a loved one, don't wait. Early diagnosis and intervention are key to managing AD effectively. To learn more about AD and a potential treatment option, visit treatalzearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com. This message is brought to you by AZI. At Providence, health equity is the foundation of our community health initiatives, ensuring care reaches those who need it most. Heart disease is the leading cause of death in America. African Americans face a higher risk of life-threatening issues like hypertension, the #1 cause of stroke. 55% of Black adults have high blood pressure. The good news is 80% of heart disease is preventable with healthy lifestyle changes and patient-centered care provided by the Providence Heart and Vascular Institute. From routine screenings to advanced procedures, Providence provides comprehensive care for the heart conditions that overly impact our community by ensuring patients receive treatments tailored to their needs. Let's stop the trend of being 30% more likely to die from heart-related problems. Take charge of your heart health with world-class cardiologists who deliver the compassionate care you deserve. Visit providence.org/SoCalHeart. That's providence.org/SoCalHeart to request an appointment.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Individual results may vary. Consult a doctor prior to use.
If you've struggled to lose weight in the past, this important message is for you because you could lose as much as 50 pounds or more with Zelfie. Zelfie makes it easy and affordable to get weight loss treatment 100% online. Zelfie providers can prescribe FDA-approved GLP-1 weight loss medications clinically shown to help people lose weight like Wegovy, Zepbound, and others. Plus, help get the medication covered by insurance so it's as little as $0 a month.
The doctors are super helpful, and the meds have been a game changer. It's the first program I've had success with.
Before Zelfie, I was unable to lose weight, even though I was eating healthy and exercising 6 days a week. Zelfie helped me not only lose weight, but I feel so much better.
Text GOAL to 200-300 to get started today with Zelfie and see if weight loss medications like Wegovy or Zepbound are right for you. Don't wait. Text now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text GOAL to 200-300. That's GOAL to 200-300. GOAL to 200-300.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Okay, so we said we were going to talk a little bit of prevention. We've been talking about colorectal or colon cancer and screenings, and Michael Frierson is here. He's on a mission to get everyone to get them earlier. And Dr. Zuri Morel, of course, was your son's doctor. You guys now have this bond. And you want us to move differently in a lot of areas.
Yes.
In fact, you brought a list.
I brought a list of things you can. So I know we talked a lot about colonoscopies, but there's other things that we can do to help prevent this cancer. So we were just sharing that when we look at our kids, 18 years and younger, 75% of the diet is ultra highly processed foods. What is that? What is a ultra highly processed food? So this is food that is genetically engineered to taste sweeter, taste saltier, to actually heighten and kind of addict us to a certain kind of taste. It's food that when you read the ingredients, you may have only understood one thing. Okay,
right.
That's highly processed foods. Bacon is a highly processed food. Okay, bacon has a lot of nitrates in it, and cured meats such as cold cuts, sausages, things of that nature. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like people are just going to stop this cold turkey. But if you eat red meat and you eat it every single day, try 2 or 3 days where you don't. Maybe eat some chicken, eat some fish.
Red meat meaning beef or pork?
Beef, pork, yes, lamb chops, things of that nature. But especially if you're going to buy cold cuts, for instance, cold cuts typically are not good for you at all.
Period. Doesn't care if they're organic.
If they're organic, free range, kept in a cage.
Nitrate free.
Right. But nitrate free is better. But the problem is with nitrate free, they put something in there called celery powder, which ends up being the same thing.
Okay.
So you can eliminate that. In terms of something really simple, washing your hands before you eat.
Really?
Washing your hands before you eat, because there's so many pesticides and chemicals that we touch, things of that nature. Water bottles. If you keep your water bottle and I'll give you this list too. If you keep your water bottles in your car, right? You know how we buy the water bottle? Plastic. This is true. When it gets heated, you get the BPAs, which you consume. And this is actually things that can lower your immune system, have been shown to do that and increase your risk of cancer. There are many, many things that we can do because, unfortunately, there's still a lot of toxins. There's toxins in our water, even though our water is potable.
Happy Earth Day.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just talking about plastics and the microplastics in our system, which our bodies are not equipped to handle that. What is it? It's a foreign object.
Yes.
It's coming through our food. It's coming through the air. It's coming through the dust. Yeah.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because a lot of times we don't talk about that. And that is something that's been shown to cause our bodies to have a inflammatory reaction. The inflammatory reaction changes the DNA in our particular cells, which can then lead to cancer. So, but the good news is we know these things. Like to me, sometimes we give these talks and like, oh, you're so depressing. I'm like, this is something, because we know it, we can change it. It's one thing if we don't know these things, right? But if you know it, you have the power to change it.
I mean, we change it by we put our water in a metal bottle or get it in a glass bottle.
We eat fiber.
We eat fiber. We drink water. But the microplastics in the air and the foods, I mean, what are you
going to do with that? Right. And that's hard. So that's why we got to double down on everything else we can control.
Yeah, I think I feel like the body is a miracle every day anyway.
Yes.
So if we give it the tools to heal us, we're probably going to survive the microplastics better. Right?
Exactly.
We're going to go back to that list, but I want to make sure we get to your crusade here and how we can help you make this happen.
Well, look, I'm trying to raise a bunch of money so I can get free screening colonoscopies for people under the age of 40.
Until we get universal health care.
Look, however it happens,
right?
So I want to be the lightning rod of this happening, and that's why I'm out here doing this. Because when you look at this situation, I think colorectal cancer is going to be the #1 cause of cancer-related deaths for people under the age of 40. They speculate they speculate that's going to be the case by 2030, and I think we are ahead of that schedule already.
And that's insane when you consider it's preventable. That doesn't even make sense.
Look, and I want to get back to this thing with this alcohol consumption thing, okay? Because when you look at this 18 to 35-year-old age group, largest consumers of alcohol, probably the largest consumers of processed foods, probably the least active people in our generation of people these days.
Definitely not outside as much.
Not outside at all. So look,
the internet
so we're talking about that lack of vitamin D thing, and also these guys. I mean, the obesity rate is insane right now, right?
75% of millennials will be obese
by
the time they're 40.
75% of millennials.
40.
So I mean, think about this.
Unless there's a change, which there will be. Okay,
right.
we're going with that.
That's what we're hoping for, right?
Yeah.
But until we get to that point, I mean, if those people are the people that are mostly affected by this, I mean, everything that they're doing are the things that affect them or could cause them to have colorectal cancer. Why are we not focusing on that?
So, to support you in raising this money, to support awareness, donate, is that to
MikeCheckYourColon.org.
And that's Mike Check UR.
Yeah, MikeCheckYourColon.org. We're trying to raise as much money as we possibly can, because what I want to do is I want to change this healthcare system. I want to be that lightning rod. I want to be that person that stands out here and says all the ridiculous things to make these people understand that they're not ridiculous. that we should be doing these things for this 136 million people in this country that drive the economy of this country. They should have that choice. They should be able to make that choice on how they manage their health care.
And money shouldn't be a factor in that.
Yeah. He mentioned alcohol. Why is that an issue?
So alcohol, in and of itself, the way we break it down, and just period, affects the actual cell lining of our gut. And so once again, we have this good bacteria there, and that helps to make
the
mucus,
microbiome,
right? That helps basically have a mucus there that actually helps to protect our colon. This destroys that. And what we're really seeing now with this whole microbiome is we're starting to see that different colon cancers have different predominance of certain bacteria. So, there's a bacteria that's basically fusiform, okay? You don't have to remember that, except you remember that most of it comes from bad teeth. It's in our mouth. But what we're starting to see is that in colon cancers, we see a predominance of that bacteria. So something else you can do to help prevent this is get your teeth clean. Take care of your cavities. And this is serious. Like, these are the things that actually nobody would think are related. But they are. I mean, so we've given you multiple tips. If you decrease your alcohol consumption, decrease ultra-processed foods, increase your fiber, increase your water, increase your vitamin D. We've given you about 6 or 7 things that you can do. That is why there's no reason colorectal cancer should be the number 2 cause of death for men and women in this country. Right. Because these are some things you can do to actually help prevent it in addition to colonoscopies. And this is why I think we're so passionate. And we've had these conversations. You know, Michael Frierson was talking about how great you look, because you know what? I could tell you look great on the inside too. Yeah, because you take care of yourself, and you guys, it shows. It's literally, if we start from in to out, as opposed to Los Angeles out to in, you know, we'd be doing a lot better. It doesn't matter if you look good on the outside if you're ugly on the inside. So.
Well, Morris Phillips says these guys really care about people. That's surprising. So it's coming through, and we appreciate the work that you guys are doing, educating folks, saving lives. I'm out of time here, but B-Bell wanted to know, does the microbiome regenerate?
That's a great question. Yes, it does. And so that's why probiotics come in. And that's what's so great about our body. Our body wants to live. Yep. And so if we can always build it up, but fiber helps to do that. Once again, fiber fermented in the gut helps to provide nutrients to the good bacteria so they can outshine the bad.
Well, this has been a great conversation. Time always flies when you guys are on. We'll have to do it again sometime soon. Dr. Zuri Morel and Michael Frierson. Mike, check your colon. You are colon.org. Make a donation and help save a life. You guys, thanks so much for all that you're doing.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Tavis Smiley's up next. He's got a full show, a full Tuesday lineup on deck for you, so you don't want to miss that. I'm going to leave you with the words of Dick Gregory this morning. He said the 3 leading causes of death in this country are dehydration, lack of exercise, and lack of sleep. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. And don't forget to tap in. Don't smoke it. Don't forget to tap in with me on social media. I'm at DiPrima Radio, DiPrima, and then radio. You can find the radio station at KBLA 1580 everywhere. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Like my mama used to say, history is now, and we are making it together. Until tomorrow, one love.
80 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know with BIN News. Pope Francis, 88, died of a stroke on Easter Monday after complications from double pneumonia, diabetes, and hypertension. The Vatican announced the stroke led to a coma and irreversible cardiovascular collapse. Following Pope Francis's death, a conclave will be held within weeks to elect a new pope. Cardinals will meet in the Sistine Chapel, isolated from the outside world, with black smoke signaling no decision and white smoke indicating a new pope. The White House denies reports of replacing Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, calling it fake news. Hegseth faced criticism for sharing military plans on Signal. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt also dismissed the NPR story as false. And LeVar Burton, best known for reading Rainbow, Star Trek, and Roots, will receive an honorary Doctor of Humane Letters from HBCU 10th. Burton, an Emmy, Peabody, and Grammy winner, will speak at the commencement. Get BIN News on demand.